Hey, good morning, folks. It's Thursday morning. I am sitting here down in the Charles River, and it is a gorgeous day out here, gorgeous morning. It's getting hot, but that's all right. This has been a kind of chilly, wet spring, so I have no complaints. I'm digging this. It's nice down here. There's a little breeze off the water. Just went to the gym, had a good workout, walked down here from Porter Square, and yeah, man, just, I love being down the old square. It's kind of a trip when I come down here. The old vibe is gone, what it once was, but I'm not who I once was. I'm an older gentleman now. When I used to come down here, it was in my younger days, and it was pretty wild to be, to say the least. And, it was pretty cool. Last week, me and my buddy Pat came down here. We heard that there was a little festival on in the square, and they closed off the whole inner square. And, they had food. They had a couple of really good bands. They had a girl band up there that was singing tunes from Heart and Blondie and, covers, but they were really good. And another guy got up there. He was a country guy, but he was singing all originals, and they really sounded good. And there was one down on the other street where the Harvard Theater used to be, but we didn't get over there. But we sat and we ate. We chilled over in the little coop alleyway, and it was really good. And, it reminded me of times when they used to do that almost every weekend. And then in October, they'd have the Oktoberfest. And back then, it was kind of decadent. They'd be rolling the kegs out onto the street. And when craziness happened, I think they were like wondering why. But, you put beer and, testosterone-filled young people together, and it's usually a recipe for disaster. But, when I come down here, man, it just, I was just walking down this street where I remember I bought that album, The Doors, Absolutely Live. And I remember, like, when I bought it, I walked over to this little porch that was there, and I just was like, tore that cellophane open and just was like in awe looking at that album. And I still have that exact album till this day. It's pretty cool, to be quite honest with you. It's lasted the test of time, just like the Doors, even though they were gone after Morrison left us. They did a couple of albums, but they really, some of the stuff on it was good too. But without Jim, they just couldn't get the magic again. But, that band is still being discovered by young people and still dug by old people, any kind of people to this day. They just, those albums still, you don't even have to remaster those things. It's like Led Zeppelin's albums. They just sound great anyways. Paul Rothchild did a great job producing those, and just like Jimmy Page did with Zeppelin. But, I remember I got my first Kinks album, and I had some album, but it was actually, I didn't have, my brother had them. But I think I got my first one, and it was Misfits by the Kinks. And if you ever seen it with that, like, those mirrors that when you look at them, they make your face go really long and your body. Well, that's like on the front and back cover of Ray and Dave Davies. And, it's just, those memories stick with me forever, Those might not be like these gigantic memories that we remember, but those are the memories that stay with me forever. Like buying those first albums, going over, hanging out in Whitney's back in the day when we were young, getting a crowd of us to go over there. And we'd go down there on like Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays, watch the games, get pie-eyed, and, just then go out into the square, hit Charlie's, hit the Boathouse, go over to the Hong Kong, all over the place. And those were different days. And as I've said before in here, I don't drink no more. I don't do drugs. I'm glad that leg of the tour has ended. I was lucky to get out of it alive, and I'm grateful that I did get out of it alive. And, it taught me a lot of things, It taught me that, sometimes I have to listen to people. People were telling me that I was messed up for a while, but I just kept telling myself, no, it's all right, and it wasn't all right. When you have to be telling yourself that it's all right, there's already a problem, and those are the things that this taught me, and I live a good life now. I mean, look at that. never really got that. Everybody's in there friggin' paddling and some guy screaming at you. It's kind of crazy. But, that's what it is. But the water's nice down here. There's a good vibe. People are out walking, catching some sunbathing, and it's just, memories just come up around here. We had some good times, man. That's back then is when it was innocent, when it was like fun, and when it was, good to go out and try to meet a girl, go over to Harvard and just walk into those madhouse parties and just go wild, because that's what everybody was doing, to be quite honest with you. It was just a free-for-all. And in some ways now, as an older guy, I don't see that as much down here. And you know what? Sometimes my mind says, it's not what it used to be. But also the other side of me, the sober part, is like, I'm kind of grateful for that too. Because, the younger people seeing what we did, they had to live through that, our kids and stuff like that. And a lot of them say, I don't want to go down that road. I don't want to drink. I don't want to do this shit. It look what it did to my father or my mother or my uncles and stuff like that. It's a fun time till it isn't, and sometimes many of us, we go way beyond, last call. I should have quit this stuff a long time ago, but I didn't know what I didn't know. And, I didn't get away from the people, not saying that it's their fault. But, if I'm trying to get sober, what am I doing sitting in a bar? What am I doing, or even sitting there drinking Old Duels? I mean, that's kind of crazy. It's like going to the barber shop. Eventually, you're going to get a haircut. And that's the same with that. And I tried that shit. I tried drinking the Old Duels, and the stuff was more than a six-pack of Bud. And I don't even get nothing on it. And what did we drink for? At first we all said, oh, the taste or whatever. It's alcohol. It ain't the greatest taste. And yeah, a cold beer does, go down good. But we did it for the effect. And, after a while, the effect just turned into friggin' nausea and decadence and arrests and so on and so on. And if you've been down that road, then you know what I'm talking about. But, I love coming around here. I can hear like a soundtrack of oldies playing when I come down here. Music that I loved. The Kinks, the Stones, Zeppelin, Hendrix, stuff I grew up on. And I still love that stuff. I love to go and see new bands, bands that I relate to, like blues rock, Joanne Taylor Shaw, Samantha Fish we just seen, Larry McRae. He's been around for a while. But, and some of these have been around for a while, but it's just, I didn't get introduced to them until later in life. And it's great, a bunch of us get together, we go out, here and there throughout the summer, get dinner, all talk about what's going on in our lives, and just enjoy. And that stuff is precious to me. These days, like when I come down here, I was just sitting out on the bench and just chilling. I wanted to go get some breakfast. I thought this joint was open, but I guess it's not. But you can smell what they're cooking. It smells delicious. So if I'm down here long enough, I might stop in for lunch. But yeah, man, good old Harvard. And there's Harvard Square over there. It's just nostalgic to me. And I come down here a lot. I have acupuncture down here because I got some Bell palsy in my face. So I have acupuncture on Fridays, every other Friday. I come down here to go to meetings, which I'll be going to at 12. Because I still go to meetings because you know what? That's where my people are. And that's where I see a different side of this world where people are not putting down people. They're actually helping them. And some people, need that help. And some people don't need to be coddled. Some need to be told exactly how it is because their behavior can disrupt groups and can disrupt, it's just disrespectful. And sometimes somebody got to tell me. I used to come in, I used to be, just think I'm going to do whatever I want, say whatever I want, do whatever I want. And you know what? But that's when you knew you're coming in here, you don't know what the hell, you basically got a whole friggin', heart full of fear, like what the hell is this thing? So you try to put on this tough guy act. But you know what? The tough guys get left at the door, because this is about, relating and helping. We help people. We really do. Our program, AA, NA, whatever it is, CA, we help people. We truly do. We help people that, until they can help themselves, may need that help. That's what happened to me. I needed to get some guidance before because I couldn't do it. I tried many times. I was trying to get sober since the 80s, but I never took it seriously. I'd walk into I'd go to the courtside bar, I'd drink down a few, I'd do a couple of bumps, I'd go into the meeting, I'd sit there, I'd get this poor bastard Arson his name was. He's another guy I can still remember. I can't remember names the next day, but I remember Arson, and he used to sign my little slip. And then I'd walk out of there and I'd go back to the bar and I'd drink, or I'd go down the projects and I'd drink. And the thing about it is, I didn't take nothing seriously. I didn't take my life seriously for a long time, and I suffered because of that. And there's people out there. I walked through Central Square the other day. I took a walk down to Cheapo Records, and the stuff that's going on there, man, right out in the street. They're like shooting drugs right in the street, making deals. I can see it. People walking around with tombstones in their eyes, and it's really sad. I don't laugh at that. I hope and pray that they find recovery someday, before it's too late. Because when you're doing drugs like that, man, it's only a limited time. The stuff that's out in the street, this fentanyl, it kills you, man. It just does. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They don't even post, how many people are dying now. They used to do that in the beginning, but there's too many dying. They don't even put it out there, because that is the real pandemic, to be quite honest with you. But I don't think, the governments or whatever, they take notice, but I don't think they want to see that, So, I don't know. I'm just enjoying myself. I enjoy being a sober guy. I enjoy being an ordinary dude. I love my life. There's sometimes when life comes on and you have to live on life's terms, but you know what? I'm glad I can do that now. I don't have to run from life. I don't have to hide from it. I don't have to be sitting in alleyways right now waiting for the man to come by to give me something so I can get by for like a half hour till I have to do something again in order to get more. That's no life, man. That's just surviving, to be quite honest with you. That's a tough way to live. I wouldn't want to be out in the streets. People scoff at people that are out in the streets. I'd like to see you do it. I'd like to see you spend a weekend out in the streets. A lot of people would get eaten alive. It's not a good world. It's not a good way to live. And you know what? Some people go down the wrong road, and they get caught up in this stuff. Addiction's not a moral thing. It's something we start off doing for fun. We start off drinking and getting high and doing stuff, and it's all in fun. And then the next thing you know it, you can't stop doing it, and then it starts taking lives and taking things away from us. And in the end, we just start giving it away. So anyways, I hope you don't go down that road. And if you could share, if anybody relates to this stuff, or you need to share it with somebody, this is the truth. I'm not sitting here I get nothing from this. I get nothing from anything. I'm just doing these things as a public service that we do recover, we can get sober and clean, and we can live decent lives. And it takes some work. But the thing about it, the work is really fulfilling. And once you get around a bunch of people that can help, because they're the same people that we would have been drinking with, they're just sober now, life gets better. So enjoy this wonderful day. My name is Tim O, and it's always a pleasure to touch base with you. Take care, and God bless.